So, Mark, welcome to IGtv. We're under recording right now. Mark Cappers is going to be coming up at the 9:20 hour on IGtv, and he's going to try and highlight and spotlight some things for InfraGard in the security area. And Mark, why don't we start this off simply by hello, good morning, and tell us a little about yourself. What have you been doing all these years?
Good morning. I am formerly with Electronic Data Systems Global Computer Incident Response Team, now HP Enterprise Services. I've spent I've been working in IT pretty much the last 20 years. Got out of Stevens Tech with an electrical engineering degree, went into a couple of New York area Novell VARs, and ultimately joined EDS. When on a day like today, back in 1993, the roof fell in on their data center in Clifton. At about Y2K, I started getting involved in the security practice with EDS and their Global Information Security Group on the commercial side, and have spent a good bit of my time doing various security consulting, infrastructure reviews, incident response, 7799 assessments, NSA assessments for our clients globally.
So why don't you explain a little bit more about who is EDS, so just for our members who may not know.
Some of the story with EDS is it was, as you may remember, Ross Perot, who ran for president back in, I guess it was 92. He founded the company using other people's spare mainframe time, and he became a very large systems integrator with EDS in the 60s and 70s, and then was bought by GM, and we became their IT department as well as a third-party systems integrator and business consultancy, and we bought ourselves out from GM in 1996, and then Hewlett-Packard purchased the company in 2009.
And what did HP do with you guys? What was the role?
The idea there was that HP was looking to take a bigger piece of the outsourcing market. EDS's traditional competition is outfits like IBM and CSC in that sphere, and we were probably number 4. I think HP was probably number 7, and combined that gave us a size advantage to go directly up against IBM.
Oh, okay. All right. So that kind of makes sense out there. So you're out there now. You're privately consulting, and we welcome you to IGtv. And quite frankly, I think it'll be very, very nice to have somebody firm in his technology, both academically and in practice, on the program with us. We certainly appreciate that. Go into a little bit. You mentioned Stevens Institute. We hold that in fairly high regard. Stevens is not an easy walk through the park. What did you do over at Stevens?
A number of things. My actual degree is in electrical engineering, and it was a great place to go to school, great education, and actually I went there I moved into Stevens before it was really cool to live in Hoboken. So I was able to see the whole, revitalization of the city, both New York and Hoboken, which was very interesting. But I was very involved in a lot of different activities, like the radio station and the theater groups. So that was a nice sort of addition to hands-on skills that I got along with the actual theoretical engineering. I specialized in data communications, so that was a logical jump to get into systems integration. My senior design project actually was working with asynchronous communication servers, dial-up servers, as you may remember back in the early 90s, were the hot way to get into your corporate infrastructure because we didn't have all this great internet stuff everywhere.
Yeah, no, I hear, and yeah, it is kind of interesting to see, what's going on there. I've got Phil who constantly is texting me during the show here. He said maybe your audio. Let me just check my audio here.
Sure.
Because he said one of us is high. So and it's coming in garbled a little bit. I just adjusted my end. Don't do any adjustments on your end. Hopefully that'll take care of things over here, and that'll come out crystal clear then. Because it should. We've got a very high fidelity system here set up. So hopefully that works for Phil. Maybe it's his machine. Who knows? What else, Mark? What else is going on? What do you hope to do in the future?
Well, right now I'm obviously looking for different opportunities as I kind of go into this independent phase. Again, I've got a lot of background helping different clients out with a wide variety of problems. I was very lucky with HP and EDS that I worked with a really good group of people, and there was a small tight knit of us that if the director of our information security group had a problem, he would come to us. So I've had a lot of great experiences working for a lot of global clients all over the world. And I'm looking to kind of continue doing that. And something that I would certainly want to bring to my little corner of IGtv is helping the local community out here in the Metro chapter and elsewhere as people tune in with some of the basics. I always found it effective to help people think about their basic security needs, and a lot of what we get caught up in is the latest patches and the latest things being kind of shoved down our throats by the vendors, where sometimes it's good to go back and worry about our sorry, I have a couple of personal assistants who want to assist. Go back and kind of say, okay, what are our problems? What are our pain points? What does keep me up at night? And go after them, and go back after the basics. So it's very easy for us to worry about sort of the hot topic of the day, and something dull and mundane, it can really come back and bite us. Infrastructure.
Yeah, no, I certainly understand that. And, we really do hope that our time with you here on IGtv will be well focused and worth everybody's time. As you look out into the horizon, what do you see coming up? Let's just say maybe next week. How do you look at that?
Next week, I'd like to spend some time talking about some methodologies. There's a very nice handbook that the National Security Agency put out a few years ago called the 30-Minute Network Security Guide. If you combine some of the concepts of that with their NSA information assessment methodology, it's a very powerful tool to take to some of your tactical problems. I mean, everybody loves doing 7799 assessments, and that's a very broad enterprise approach to all the facets of security, but sometimes you've got a particular pain point, and both those tools lend themselves to changing the scope to what you need them to do. And they give you a framework by which you can go in and say, okay, I just want my scope to be this particular application or this set of servers or this bit of problem that I'm having, and you can go after that. Some of the other things I'd also like to talk about, in future IGTVs is, even getting back to basics on getting good business requirements. How do you get your business requirements into a security language and then turn that back around so you can go to your leadership and make sure you're funded for it. I mean, that's something that we all struggle with, is we all have problems with funding for critical infrastructure, and it's never as good as we'd like it. So part of that is being able to take the security language that we all speak and turn it into actual business requirements and goals so that financial decision makers can say, oh, if I do this security project, I'm actually making my business more efficient. It will save me money, which is something that they like to hear.
Yeah, that is very important for a lot of different entities out there. There's no doubt about that. You know, it's kind of interesting that you'll be hitting on that. Well, Mark, you know, we look forward to talking to you and being with you in the future, friends and all. And you know, we wish you a good luck and good day, and hopefully you know, you get picked up, but hopefully that doesn't mean we lose you.
No, I'm not planning to go anywhere. So
all right,
I'll be here.
All right, great. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. And if you can send us a blip over on the IG chat line about what's coming up next week.
We'll do. Two things that I did want to mention, just to follow up on your current events stories. My understanding of the Palin hack is the guy guessed her password, and that's something that wasn't terribly reported in the news. So everybody got really bothered about some of the people hosting her services. I think Yahoo was the mail. So a lot of these security stories we hear, when you start looking into what really happened, it was, you know, typically, you know, they left the backup tape on the corner, it got picked up, or somebody guessed a password. And a lot of times, you know, there are legitimate weaknesses in the infrastructure, but we got to understand what they are. The second pointer with the WikiLeaks thing, I know I've talked to several federal agents, and we were likewise warned, if you are a DoD contractor, if you're a government contractor or a government agency, it is vitally important that you don't look at reports of WikiLeaks. You know, you don't read the New York Times stuff, because that information is still considered classified. And if that stuff winds up on your computer, you could wind up at risk for violation.
Well, yeah, you could face federal prosecution. There's no doubt about that. You know, just in that regard, Mark. This is a young kid who did this. His father was involved in Democratic politics.
Yeah.
You know, he was in a position to know. All right, and even though, you know, and I don't make excuses for a vice presidential candidate that doesn't know how to, you know, safeguard her email, you know,
strong password.
Yeah, a strong password, right? But staff could have taken care of that for her too. Yeah. All right. You know, but people have to understand that when they're in a box that doesn't belong to theirs, you know, there's going to be a price, and this kid, unfortunately, is paying the price.
Yeah, well, those logon banners say, you know, criminal trespass for a reason. And as practitioners, it's also important to us to remember that when we're investigating things on computer systems that are out on the internet, you got to be very careful about how you tread, tracking down the bad guys that are looking at you, because you could equally find yourself at risk by reverse trespassing.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. All right, good talk, Mark. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to add the notes to the chat.
Will do.
All right, thanks. Bye now.
All right. Have a good morning.
You too. All right, everybody.